Hey everybody, and welcome to another episode of The Tacoma Cyclist. I'm Tacoma Cyclist, and with me as always is the Boogeyman. Today we're going to talk about 5 free-ish or cheapish things that you can get to make riding in the winter a little bit more pleasurable. Where we live in the Tacoma area, hence my name. We can ride all year round. It doesn't really ever get super cold. It'll get into the 30s, sometimes into the 20s. But we don't have a lot of snow unless we go up into the mountains, and those are just that way, a little ways. So we can get some snow if we want to. But mostly we get really, really cold rain. So I'm going to share with you a little bit about what you can do in the really, really cold rain so that you can be a little bit more comfortable and so you can get your butt outside and ride a little bit more often. So the purpose here isn't to talk about all of the fancy, cool things that you can buy to make riding your bike easier. We're not going to advocate getting a special rain bike. In fact, if you can see behind me, you can see that my Bianchi's sitting right behind me, and that's the bike that we just rode this morning in the wet. We ride our race bikes, for the most part, not always, but for the most part, we ride our race bikes in the rain. So I'm not going to advocate a rain bike. I'm not going to advocate expensive fenders and stuff like that. This is really to talk about things that you can get for under $50, and in some cases you can kind of makeshift some things to make those rides more comfortable. Again, the more you can get out in the winter, the better. So when you're cold and when you're wet, you're miserable and you don't want to ride. So most of the stuff here is going to talk about how to keep yourself from being cold or wet, or in some cases cold and wet. First thing we're going to talk about is something that a lot of people aren't even aware exists. I certainly wasn't aware they existed until a couple seasons ago, and really haven't taken advantage of them until recently, and that is glove liners. So glove liners, as modeled here by the Boogeyman, are really thin. They tend to be natural fabrics like merino wool or silk. Sometimes they're synthetic fabrics as well, but they're very thin in this case, very cool looking in case you want to ride with just these. And they typically have a longer armband. They go under your regular gloves, and it provides an extra layer of air and fabric and air between you and your regular gloves. And I can tell you for a matter of fact that having used these type, and actually I have another pair that I got off of Amazon for next to nothing, like 14 bucks. You wear these under even medium weight gloves, and you can take your gloves down into ridiculously cold temperatures and not even be bothered. Even on some of my heavier gloves, my fingers get a little bit cold to the point where they get that stinging sensation. We rode the other day, lower 30s, and had these on, and no stinging sensation whatsoever. It also keeps your hands from getting overly hot too. That air layer helps to keep you regulating your temperature. So well worth it. I spent about 15 bucks for these, and money well spent. The next thing that I think is oftentimes overlooked are your socks. I can tell you for a matter of fact that cycling socks are different than just regular athletic socks. They tend to be a little bit, in some cases, thinner, they tend to stretch less, and they definitely keep sweat in less. I tried just some regular athletic socks while riding on the trainer. It was the most miserable hour of my life. My feet felt awful. So getting some dedicated pairs of cycling socks are a great way to go. But specifically, getting yourselves some nice wool, whether that's actual wool, these are merino wool, or smart wool cycling socks. They don't have to be thick, and in fact, they won't tend to be that thick. They'll be thicker than maybe some regular summertime cycling socks, but certainly they will be thinner than your traditional wool socks. Now, what's so great about wool, whether it be, again, merino or smart wool, is when they get wet, they still stay warm. And that's really important. When your feet are cold and miserable, you are cold and miserable. I could advocate some shoe covers, and that'd be great, except for this is about a list. This is a list about keeping on the cheap side of things. These socks will set you back $12, $15. Shoe covers will set you back $60, $80, $100 for good shoe covers. And the thing is, your feet are still going to get wet. So there are no shoe covers out there that will keep your feet from getting completely wet. You still have to have some holes on the bottom of your shoes to allow for your cleats to mount and everything, and water will absolutely make it in there. So just accept the fact that your feet are going to get wet and go with socks like these that do a good job of keeping your feet warm while they get wet. Now, my next one is kind of a 2-for-1. And that's because what I'm going to recommend to you is all about your waist or your chest up, your neck and your head. So the Boogeyman here is going to be modeling a neck thingy, that's what it's called, and a head warmer, beanie, whatever you want to call it. Now the reason that these are kind of a twofer, if you get the right neck gate, sometimes it's designed in such that you can take it over, kind of like a balaclava, although it can lump up in the back. But the key here is when you're riding in super cold weather, your neck and your ears are really exposed, and really the top of your head too. In this case, this is got a slight fleece lining. You definitely don't want to wear this cap in the summer. You'll die. Don't do that. But in the winter, this is great. It keeps your warmth in. It does a good job of keeping your ears from freezing off. I've gotten some frostbite on the tips of my ears on some cold rides, especially on mountain descents. It feels miserable. So this just keeps your head and your neck warm. The nice thing about the neck gate is, the Boogieman can show you, it's actually pretty easy to get off. So if you're riding along and you just need to take the neck gate off, you can get it off. So pretty straightforward. You can even do that over a helmet if you get the right neck gate. And if you just get a little too warm, you can do that. Now, you can also get headbands that work very similarly to this, just without the beanie top. And what that does is it still protects your ears, and should you get really hot in a ride, you can pull it down and turn it into a neck gate. It's not going to be perfect. It's still going to let air around, but it keeps you from carrying too much stuff at any one time. Okay, so the next thing, I gave you a bonus one on the last one, so the next one I feel a little bit less guilty about raising the price point a little bit. But one of the things that I would heartily recommend for you as well is a good windbreaker, a good wind blocker. Now, there are several different types of jackets out there. There's rain jackets, there are fashion jackets, there are thermal jackets, and then there's wind blocker jackets. Wind blocker jackets tend to fall into the least expensive category. Now, notice you're not going to get, I'm not trying to flip you off, you're not going to get taped seams here, taped zippers, stuff like that. So water's still going to get in, okay? With a jacket like this, you're still going to get a little bit wet. This is not a waterproof jacket. This is a windproof jacket or a wind breaking jacket. So when you compare this with, when you put this together with arm warmers and base layer and stuff, this type of thing just keeps that cold air from hitting you and freezing you out. It's not going to keep you completely dry. In reality, most of these don't. Most, even rain jackets don't. Until you spend a couple $100, you get taped seams, taped zippers, all that stuff, sealed zippers. This is a really good example, though, of a relatively inexpensive product. LeCoultre brand, not exactly cheap, but there are plenty of these on the market. And frankly, I've even seen people use plastic grocery bags underneath their jersey just to keep that wind from hitting you directly. That's something that actually works. On mountain descents, if you've got nothing better, use the plastic bag or the newspaper trick to keep that cold air from hitting you in the chest. Keeping your core warm and well circulating keeps the rest of your body warm too. So when you pair that with something to keep your head warm, something to keep your hands warm, something to keep your feet warm, something to keep your core warm, really you're left with your arms and your legs. And if all the rest of that stuff's nice and warm, reality is it's actually pretty easy for your body to regulate temperature on your arms and legs too. Okay, and finally, our last cheap piece of gear that's going to make you happy riding in the winter is the butt saver. That's what he calls it. Yeah, the ass saver. Modeled here, I've got two different kinds. I've got regular ass saver in team edition, and then extra large ass savers. If you're an extra large ass, these are great. So this is not a replacement for a fender. This is not going to make the people behind you hate you any less during winter rides. Frankly, I don't care if the person in front of me on a winter wet ride has fenders. I just don't care. We race in the rain, we race in the snow, we race in whatever weather it deals us. So I'm used to getting sprayed in the face. I wear glasses, I don't care. This, on the other hand, keeps that spray from just going right up your back, which is just, it feels gross. And frankly, some of it can just work its way up underneath of your jersey, into your bibs, and by the time you get back, you feel disgusting. These butt savers, for those with young, sensitive ears, These butt savers do a great job of keeping that water off of you. That's really all they do. These are cheap. You can get them on eBay. You can get them on Amazon. You can get them at bike trade shows. Totally worth it. I just got this one on sale at a closeout deal for like $5. I think these were on Amazon for 15. So again, still fits with that kind of cheap profile. Definitely worth their weight in gold. So one thing we'll show you is putting one of these on. It's very simple. And something I would really recommend, you're going to be using these in the rain, right? It's kind of the idea. When you get back from riding, and of course you're hosing off your bike, right? When you get back from riding in the rain or riding in the wet or riding in the winter in general, you're just going to hose off that bike. Hose this off too, but also take it off your bike. Just take it off, hose it off, dry it. You don't want moisture sitting between it and some other part like your saddle or your seat rails. That's a recipe for disaster. So these pop on real easy, they pop off real easy. Take them on or take them off, put them on for each ride. Don't just let it sit there on your bike or you're going to wind up having some rust or other problems. Okay, so thanks for watching our video. That's our exploration of 5 cheap, inexpensive, or even free, kind of, things that you can do to make riding in the winter or riding in the rain or in the cold a little bit more enjoyable and a little bit more fun. So if you like this video, give it a thumbs up. Put stuff in the comments. I'll do my best to get to any and all comments that I see there, unless they're just stupid. Shame on you. And of course, subscribe. Share it with your friends. We'd love to hit that 1,000 subscriber mark. That'd be awesome. And then, hey, we'll go up from there. If you don't like this video and you give it a thumbs down, a unicorn dies. So don't do that. Other than that, like, share, subscribe, and we'll see you with our next upcoming video where we're going to talk about 5, maybe a little bit more pricey things that you can do while you're riding in the winter to make yourself really comfortable. Thanks. See you next time.